Alrighty, so we're back here on some more Warframe. I gotta turn this down for my own sake. I don't know why, but I feel like I have a hard time coming up with my thoughts whenever the volume for a game is just its regular volume. The game audio just makes it so that I can't really hear myself as well. I think that's what it is. But anyway, more Warframe, and we got some weekly stuff to do actually. There's this alert going on right now. By the time you guys see this, it's probably over by now, but there still is a new weekly events to get. I don't really need to do much because this one I don't need to do. I don't need to do this one either, and I guess I do need to do this one. I'm performing a blueprint, sure. I still do need to do some of the operation, at least to just get these ephemeras before that leaves, but we still got time. I still think I'll do these at least just to help public match players if there's any sort of new player. But anyway, today we're talking about the state of Okay, thank you. We're talking about the state of gaming. I decided to kind of talk about this because Tim the Tap Man actually did a video on his second channel where he was talking about the state of streaming or something like that, and gaming was part of the discussion, and he basically says that gaming's in a rough spot, and I agree yet disagree. Now, I like Tim the Tap Man, don't get me wrong. He does have some questionable takes at times. You know, you can still like someone without liking every one of their opinion. Like you can't do that. Like, he's a silly funny guy. He definitely has some questionable takes at times, but that's alright. People have their own different experiences. But he was talking about gaming is kind of dying, or at least it feels like it's in a rough spot, which for multiplayer games, I can absolutely agree with. Because if you were to look on Twitch right now, if you were to look at the top games, really just the top categories, a lot of the top games and categories are older games at this point, really. I think I'll take a look after this mission. I mean, there's just not really any sort of newer multiplayer games that are coming out and doing well. There's Arc Raiders. That's kind of like it, really. Arc Raiders came out about half a year ago, I think. And I mean, Marvel Rivals is doing well, but Marvel Rivals is almost a year and a half old at this point. I think it's about 16 or 17 months old, so it's not really new. And if you were to look at other games, you'll see, you know, Dota, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Rust. I mean, that's also old. What else is there? There's probably Overwatch. Overwatch is 10 years old at this point. I know some might try to disagree with that, saying that Overwatch 2 came out about 3 years ago now, maybe 4, but that, I mean, that's still 3 or 4 years ago. And Overwatch 2 is, I mean, it really was not Overwatch 2. It was still just more Overwatch, but it got an update. Overwatch with like a slightly new fresh coat of paint, if even. Oh gosh, I hate trying to maneuver these things without operator. I really should have just switched to drifter. There's one thing I kind of dislike about being higher level. It feels like I'm more of the time with higher level players as well. I like to help out new players, but it feels like I'm getting so many MR30 LR players. I think it's kind of adorable to try to help out new players. But anyway, opening up Twitch, if I just go to browse, I'll see, yep, just chatting, most popular category, of course. It's really because it's just so broad. But then you got GTA 5, that's, oh, what's that, 14 years old now? There's Rust, also pretty old. League of Legends, old. Marvel Rivals, again, year and a half roughly. Fortnite, it's actually down to 40,000 viewers. That's kind of tragic. But still, Fortnite is almost 9 years old. And you got Counter-Strike, of course, again, another older game. Valorant is 5 or 6 years old now. Dead by Daylight is, what was that, 2017, 2018? Apex Legends was 2019, I think. World of Warcraft is ancient. Pragmata's new. Tomodachi Life is new. Overwatch is old. Horsey Game, I don't know what this is. Minecraft old. QSMP, is that Minecraft SMP? I don't really bother to look at that. Call of Duty Warzone, Dota 2, Arc Raiders, Witcher 3. Point is, you look up here, especially multiplayer game wise, they're all old. At least multiplayer wise, they're all old. Maybe there's because yeah, there's Pragmata up here, there's Tomodachi Life, those are newer. But a lot of the top streaming games that are actually multiplayer wise are old. It really doesn't feel like any sort of newer multiplayer games are sticking, and I think a lot of that is because the pillars of multiplayer games have kind of fallen apart. Because if you were to think back to the prime gaming ages, you know, 2012 or earlier or whatever, kind of just around that 2010 era, the pillar of multiplayer games was Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Halo. That's probably what most people would say. Maybe Counter-Strike as well. But I mean, for at least console, it was heavily Battlefield, Call of Duty, Halo. Problem is, all of those series right now are just in the water. They're drowning. They're the skeleton at the bottom of the pool for the thumbnail that I made. They're not doing well. And I mean, doesn't really seem like they're ever going to do well. I know Battlefield 6 sold very well. It had a great launch. The problem was that it just did not really keep players. I know some people will try to say, oh, the switch up is crazy, or that people just need constant attention and content coming out. That's not really true, because the problem with Battlefield 6 is that on launch, the content that was in the game is good. The problem is there just was not that much content to it. Whereas if you look at, the prime Battlefield games, they release with a bunch of content. And same with the Call of Duty era. If you look at the golden era of Call of Duty, the base game that came out, it was a finished product. It was a full game. You had plenty of content. Like Black Ops 2 is my favorite Call of Duty. If I was to look back at how I managed to get so much time out of it, well, there's mastery camos. I know it was only diamond camo, but that still is a grind to actually go for. There was prestige. There's theater mode to enjoy. There's zombies that you can play as well, even though some of the zombies for Black Ops 2 was not exactly good. Die Rise and Transit are not that good. It still had Mob of the Dead, Origins, Buried, some great maps that I got so much time out of. And then, of course, the campaign. Excellent campaign, which is the same deal with the other prime Call of Duties, the golden era of Call of Duties. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 even Modern Warfare 3 had a decent campaign. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't seen as good as Modern Warfare 1 or 2, or Black Ops 1 or 2, or heck, even World at War, probably. But if you just think about how much content you actually got in the base game back then, it absolutely slams it out of the park compared to multiplayer games that release these days. Battlefield 6, I mean, it's sad. Really? And then Halo, who knows what the heck Halo is doing, or really just Microsoft in general. And then of course there still are multiplayer games that are popular, but they're still just older ones. I do think a issue that is preventing people from branching out so much is definitely FOMO. I've been a culprit of it too. My culprit was for Destiny, actually. I wanted to make sure to just get everything when I can. I didn't want to miss anything, because I kind of just, like, Destiny 2 was my main game. I didn't want to miss anything. It just felt bad to miss something. But now that I have not played Destiny 2 for about 10 months at this point, maybe more like 8 months actually, I don't really feel that FOMO. And with Warframe, it does have slight FOMO. I think it's pretty easy to just ignore, just play at the pace that you want to. And then another problem is that any sort of other multiplayer game that comes out, first impressions these days are just everything. Splitgate is a game that's not doing too well right now, and it came out with first impressions that were not good. People were making fun of the game, making fun of the developers, because they had that whole, make FPS great again hat or campaign. And then they mentioned something about Titanfall and something like that. And then they did a Battle Royale, totally innovative. And really, we're not in that era anymore of No Man's Sky situation. The reason why we're not in that era anymore is because there's just so many other games coming out these days. Now, I know statistics say that, oh yeah, over 20,000 games released every year. That is kind of smoke and mirrors, I think, if that's the correct term for that. Yeah, there's 20,000 games, but probably over 19,000 of them are just trash. Some of them are probably even malware and viruses. Some of them are scams. So really, you're maybe looking at 1,000 good games, if even, probably more, 100. 200. So multiplayer games aren't looking too good right now. Another thing is cheating as well. Cheating is just getting more and more prevalent every day. Counter-Strike is a very popular game, but I mean, how many players are cheaters? How many are people just simply opening cases? How many are bots? It's problematic, really. On a positive note, single-player games are pretty much as good as ever. Yeah, there still are some trash ones here and there, but for the most part, they're still good, and they'll always be around because there is a large audience for them. And then of course there's indie games. Now, most indie games are not good. Let's be real. Over 90% of them trash, not worth buying at all. But the few that are really good are really good. And of course, they're typically not full price either. They're typically maybe 20, 30 bucks, maybe 40 bucks at most. And they're just simply made with fun in mind. So really, whenever someone says gaming is dying, I can kind of agree for the multiplayer standpoint, but not from just a single player indie dev standpoint. And plus, you always got older games. If you're on Steam, you've got so so many older games that you can just revisit and play. And I guess another problem that I forgot to mention, sorry, burping a little bit, is game shutdowns. They're just getting more and more common these days, which is not good because it does kind of prevent people from actually wanting to get into a game. Because if you have some interest in a game, especially a multiplayer one, and it does not have that many players, I know Steam charts are not everything, but they still do at least paint somewhat of a picture. They at least give you a trend. So for Splitgate, maybe the game's alright right now. I have not played it in a while. I think I'll make a video on it. But the problem is, I don't want to get invested into something that's potentially going to get shut down. I know someone might say, well, what about Warframe? You know, it's not going to be around forever. True, but I'm not worried about it right now by any means. And on top of that, I want to kind of go out on my own terms. I don't want the game to be taken away from me, because with Destiny 2, it has not shut down at all. But I've quit on my own terms. I'm done with the game pretty much. I don't know if I'll ever return. I'll return if it gets into a good state, but right now it is not in that good state. But really, regardless, game shutdowns should just not be a thing. Even if I'm not a fan of a game, Highguard, for example, was not a fan of it. I didn't even try it out, but I just looked at it, saw how I said that this is boring. It looks like this has no pool. It looks like it has barely any content. But I still recognize that there are at least some people that enjoy the game, and they should be able to enjoy the game. So it sucks that they can't because the game's shut down now. It's gone. Because regardless of my opinion towards the game, there's just no reason it should ever get shut down. That's just dumb and stupid. You should just be able to play whatever you want to. And then I guess another issue, a slighter issue, is game shutdowns are not just to multiplayer games. They can happen to single player games as well, because some are always online, require an internet connection. That's dumb. That should not be the case. It can kind of make sense for a game like Warframe because you kind of need to get the updates. But for some of the other games, I think Ubisoft games especially, it does not make sense. Also, I don't feel like Warframe would ever probably get shut down. I feel like DE would do something to keep Warframe online. You know, say 20 years in the future, support for the game is cut, but they'd probably have different servers. Maybe it's like peer-to-peer instead of dedicated, or maybe it is already peer-to-peer. I don't know. I just feel like there would be probably some sort of solution in the future to keep online games still online with like no extra cost. But regardless, I think the state of gaming is pretty good. It definitely feels bad for multiplayer. Not that multiplayer gaming is dying. There still are multiplayer games that are doing well. Marvel Rivals, Rust, Overwatch, Arc Raiders, you know, you name it. It does not really feel like multiplayer games are doing that well because the pillars have been strucken down. Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, they ain't doing well anymore. But anyway, I think that's about it for now. Warframe did get some news, really a lot of news actually. Maybe I'll talk about it in another vid, but basically 2 new Warframes, more arcanes, some nice quality of life updates. It looks good. I think this is all coming out before TennoCon too. Also, Operation Belly of the Beast is coming back May 4th, so grind time begins again. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on whatever I do next.